Does IUL work? In this series, we are going to talk about how IUL works. Is it worth it? I'm Doug Andrew. This is my son, Aaron Andrew, one of the top IUL specialists in America. He has hundreds of clients who he has helped with max-funded indexed universal life. If you have watched any of my educational episodes, which I have over 800 educational videos on my YouTube channel, Three Dimensional Wealth, you will understand that one of my favorite financial vehicles for all kinds of goals like retirement planning or college funding for your kids or grandkids, maybe it's real estate management or business working capital. I prefer to use a max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract if it's structured correctly and funded properly, which many advisors don't know how to do. That's why we have a coalition or network where we train advisors how to do this correctly and fund it properly. Aaron knows how to do this, okay? And this is one of my favorite instruments. I call it a laser fund. Now, laser is an acronym that stands for liquid asset safely earning returns. And so the purpose of this series is to show you actual illustrations where many times we have members of the general public where we are illustrating this as a repository for serious cash as an alternative to maybe IRAs or 401ks. They're trying to optimize assets and minimize taxes to do what? Increase the liquidity, the safety, and the rate of return. So when they begin to initiate an IUL policy, they are structured, and usually there's an illustration that is generated, and it is done by the insurance company software, and it has to comply with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, okay? And many times those illustrations in the past have been done at interest rates during that environment, or it was done using certain assumptions.
Yes.
So here's what people ask. Well, this looks good, but what really happens in real life, okay? I want to see some illustrations of 10 years into one of these. Do you have some examples of where clients have actually done this? And especially financial advisors, sometimes they're naysayers. And there have actually been advisors that say, show me one that has ever even come close to performing like you illustrated when they first took it out. So are you ready? We're about to show you several of these, and Aaron is going to show you an example of one of these that was taken out, about 10 years ago?
More than that, about 2008.
And what's so awesome about this is they haven't even maximum funded it yet, and it's already way outperformed what it was supposed to do if they had put in all the premium. So put on your seatbelt, you're going to be blown away.
All right, well, let's jump right into this. So this client of mine is a client that's a chiropractor. And back in the day, it's been a little while now. So in 2008, this client came to me and wanted to use life insurance for not just the death benefit, but also to use it for a supplement for retirement income. So they said, hey, I want to be able to use, as we teach in these videos, use a life insurance contract or an index universal life to have not just the death benefit, but to have money in there that in retirement they could take out tax-free income via the loans and be able to have it not show up on their tax return, as many of you know how these policies work that way. So anyways, when he came to us, we designed a plan, and in this plan, what we designed, as you can see here on the screen, we designed a plan to put in a little bit of a lump sum the first year of $52,000, and then we wanted to put in an annual savings of $33,000 a year for 10 years. Okay, so the total we were going to put in was $350,000. Now this illustration, as you can see down here at the bottom, this is my original illustration that was ran on November 14th of 2008 at 4:48 p.m. So this is exact illustration of what I ran back in the day for him back in 2008. So anyways, looking at this illustration, he wanted the death benefit, so that's the minimum death benefit right here of $1.3 million. To allow him to put in $350,000. Now, we didn't have all the money to put in today. He had a little bit of money now to put in, but then he was going to save this $33,000 a year for the next 10 years and then stop. And then you can see down here, we were going to take out $35,000 a year of tax-free income via policy loans, which you can learn about in the other videos. So we were going to take out this $35,000 a year out tax-free. put in this 350,000. He's age 50, you can see, and death benefit of 1.3 million. So just give you kind of a little bit of a framing on this. So when he opened up this policy, we started to put in the money, started to put in annual amounts, but then he wasn't able to put in all the money. So through the years, he wasn't able to what we call maximum fund this. So if he puts in the 350,000, that would have been maximum funding the policy, but he wasn't able to do that. If we look at here, but let's go down, let's look a little bit forward now. Well, let's go back here for a second and let's look at what year we are actually in right now. So in this illustration here, this was 2008. Let's call it 2009 actually, because at the end of the first year, all right, the end of the first year, we would put in 52. We'd have $42,000 in there, about 10,000 because of the fees and expenses, because they're on the hook for 1.3 million if you pass away. All right. And by the way, this illustration, one other thing that we ought to point out real quick is what was this ran at? So back then, with these different illustrations, so it can change through the years of what we can illustrate based upon what caps are and so forth. So back then, we were able to run this illustration at a rate of 8.5%. Okay, so we had a little bit in this 1 year account, but most of the money was right here in the 5 year account. We were running this illustration at an 8.5% illustrated rate back then. All right. So today you won't be able to run that high, but back then we were able to run that rate based upon historical, averages and so forth. So 8.5% is what we were running in this example. All right, so let's go back down here, looking at the actual illustration. So once again, funding it for the 10 years, taking out tax-free income in retirement. This was done back in 2008. But after 1 year, his first annual statement would have been November of 2009. So that would have been this year, okay, the first year. So this would have been 2010, the second year, all right? The next year would have been 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2020, 2021, right there. So right here in year 13, this is 2021 November, all right? So right now, at the time of this recording, we're more in 2022 in the springtime, but in this, right now, the annual statement, the most recent annual statement that we have, we're going to look at is at the end of the 13th year. So without these loans, because he has not taken any loans, by the way, so he has not taken these loans out. So over here, you see our accumulation value. Let me highlight it here for a second. 458,000 is where we should be if we haven't taken loans. If we've taken loans, you'll notice that the surrender value is 384. So this is before loans. This number is after loans, because you can see the two numbers equal each other in year 10. There's no longer what we call a surrender charge. I'm kind of giving you a few things here. But I want you to remember that 458 is where we should be if we had paid $350,000 over 10 years. All right? If we had done that, and this is where we would be in the 13th year, which is where we're at November of 2021. All right, so a lot of framing there, but now let's go to the next one. So here's his annual statement from November of 2021. So if you see this is called a Pacific Index Accumulator number 3. This is this date. See that this was from November of 2020 to November of 2021. What happened during that year? This is an annual policy statement. Okay, of course, I've taken out the client's information. There's my name as the producer. This is with, of course, Pacific Life. There's many companies. This is one of the main one company that we can use with Index Universal Life. Let's go down here and look at the summary page. So right here, you can see from this time frame, all right, you can see the client's allocation. This is really cool. It kind of says a summary. But look at this over here. Look at his average annual rate of return. His average rate of return in the policy has been 10.86%. Average rate of return since he started this policy, and he's in the 13th year, or just finished the 13th year. He's in the 14th year right now. But at the end of the 13th year, he's averaged 10.86%. It shows it right there on the statement, okay? Now, look at his cash value here. His accumulated value, all right, this is the policy year from those dates. And by the way, this last year, he added $13,200. Let's go back to the illustration. He was supposed to be finished funding this in 10 years with $350. All right, he's in the 13th year, and he paid $13,000 in the 13th year. So basically what I'm trying to say is he did not max fund it. He's still trying to catch up. Let's see what he has paid total. All right. But notice this, 484 is what he has in there. What were we supposed to have at this point if you go back? 458,000 is what he's supposed to have. Okay. So if you notice that, we're about $26,000 better right here. We're about $26,000 ahead of schedule, but he hasn't funded $60,000 into his policy. So if we go down here in the annual statement, check this out. Right here on the statement, it says premiums paid since issue. This client has paid $289,900. And what's neat about this client is he had things come up. He wasn't able to put in the $33,000. So guess what? IUL, or Index Universal Life, is flexible. He was able to back off on the premiums and not put in the maximum that we were going to put in. And he's only paid $289,000. He was supposed to pay $350,000, if you remember. He was supposed to pay $350,000. And so that difference is he's short about $60,100 right now is how short he is of maximum funding it. And he's 3 years past of when he was supposed to fund it all the way. So if you see what I'm saying here is not only has he not put the 60 in, he hasn't been earning interest on that. So he should be way behind schedule on an illustration. But because the policy has outperformed the illustration, it's performed way better than we illustrated. Okay, going back up. Let's go back up to here to the summary. Because he's earned an average of 10.86% instead of 8.5%, that's really the bottom line. He's earned an average return of 10.86 instead of 8.5, what we illustrated back in 2008. He is $26,000 ahead of schedule, and he didn't put in that other $60,000 still. So he is, $86,000, ahead of schedule. But even more than that, because he hasn't been earning interest on money he didn't put in. Okay. So pretty cool. Oh, but look at this right down there. This last year, because of some of his 5-year account money that we moved to the one year, earned this last year, he put in $13,000. He earned $119,000 in interest in that 1 year because he had some of his 5-year money come due. It's kind of complex. Basically, you get returns after 5 years. He had $4,000 come out in fees. He's got $484. A little update a few months later. So this statement now, if you check out this statement, we've got May of 2022, May 12th. His account is now worth, okay, going up here. So May of 2022, he's now at $501,000. And just this quarter, he earned $5,900 of interest, $800 of fees went out. In this, because if he passes away, his family gets $1.3 million. All right. Oh, by the way, he has taken a loan. I forgot. He took out a loan in the last 6 months. He's taken out his first loan and just met with him actually the other day. He's been super happy, super excited because the policy's outperformed. He's in retirement. This money's all coming out tax-free. So he just started taking loans. So see, 6.77% of his money's been borrowed out in the loan. And this is kind of cool. Let's just show this real quick. He's borrowing at 2.25. All right. So he's borrowing at a guaranteed rate of 2.25 is his loan rate, pretty low. And his money, the collateral, so some of his money that's in the policy, because when you borrow, you're not withdrawing. So there's money still in the policy that is earning 2.25. So see the fixed account? His money earns 2.25. He borrows at 2.25. That's called a zero wash loan or a zero cost loan in this policy. There's other loans where you can borrow at like 4 or 5 right now and your money can keep earning that 10%. So right up here, this 10.73, if he wants, he can take another loan that's called an index loan or participating loan where he can borrow right now at 4.4% with his company and his money can keep earning the 10. But he's being conservative in retirement. So he's borrowing at 2.25, earning 2.25, zero wash loan. Most, for example, like in comparison, most whole life policies, you might borrow at 6 or 8 or sometimes, and then basically the policy is earning a lower return than that. It depends on the policy, of course. But just to give you an example here, some of these policies, some of the 5-year accounts have earned 13%, 8.5%, 11%. The fixed account that he used to be in back in the day, 4.6 average. So he's averaged 10.73 since he's had this policy. He's way ahead of schedule, even though he didn't maximum fund it. It's pretty powerful to show this. And we got many others we could show. So just wanted to give you that quick overview of how a policy has really performed that we opened up back in 2008. Now we're in the 14th year right now, and we're, ahead of schedule, even though the client did not maximum fund the policy. Thank you for watching.
So thank you, Aaron. If that didn't blow you away, again, here's a client, and it proved the flexibility of Indexed Universal Life, where he intended to put in $350,000 over the first 10 years. He couldn't. He only funded $289,000, and it took him into the 13th year. So he's still short $60,000 of maximum funding it. And he's already started to access, like $33,000, I think, in a loan. Mm-hmm. And it has outperformed the illustration, which was done at 8.5%, because he's been averaging well over 10%. And so he actually has way more in there than what was illustrated, even though he has not put in the final $60,000 that he intended to put in. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. That shows the flexibility, because you can stop, you can start, and he had to slow down a little bit. He still hasn't put in the maximum amount of $350,000, only $289,000, but he's got $500,000 sitting in there, and that's only 13 years into the contract.
And if he were to pass away, it would blossom to the $1.3 million death benefit, tax-free to his heirs if he happened to pass away early in retirement as well.
And again, this is just one of many policies that actually outperform what was illustrated when they took out the contract. We sort of like to underpromise and then overdeliver as much as we possibly can. But it all depends on how it's structured correctly and if it's funded. So if this is resonating with you and you want to explore this further, you ought to read this book and study. It's called The Laser Fund. If you have not claimed your free copy, my son Aaron, my other son Emran, who will be posting several of these videos in this series, we co-authored this book. It's actually 2 books in one. This white side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs explaining how a max-funded IUL can perform as a superior capital accumulation tool for retirement and so forth. If you learn more by stories like this one, you can flip it over. This one has about 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. So simply go to laserfund.com or click on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. We'll cover the rest of that. I'll fire out a free copy to you. There's options there to listen and learn, watch and learn. You can even explore how to talk to an IUL specialist like Aaron or my son Emran to see how these strategies may be very applicable to your goals in your financial circumstances. So here is to your brighter future so that your story can be just like the story we just explained.